In Nigeria, I always say we have good initiatives, we have good ideas. In fact, we implement them, but we are not able to see it to fruition because we don't have enough will to monitor and to enforce.
Agriculture should not be for the poor, uneducated people. Education is not about just going to school. It's about learning and understanding and knowing and being exposed. So these are areas where the associations, and speaking to the agricultural system, come out, give the people more awareness to know how to hold the government accountable for certain things and certain promises that we put out there. So
I think they should funnel this money through the local governments. Because if I'm a farmer in Makurdi or in Benue, in a remote village there, how do I even know this is happening?
This is SOUQ Business Landscape. CBN is aiming to boost agricultural lending beyond 5%. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria is pushing to increase agricultural lending above the current level of less than 5% of total bank credit. They are emphasizing that the sector's critical role in the economy needs to be funded, and Governor Olayemi Cardoso made this declaration on Tuesday in Abuja during the inauguration of the new Board of Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund. He described the occasion as a defining moment, signaling a fresh commitment to enhance agricultural financing in Nigeria. Cardoso highlighted agriculture's contribution of over 20% to Nigeria's GDP and its role as the largest employer. However, he noted that the sector currently receives only a small share of formal credit from the bank. The CBN's renewed focus aims to increase funding through targeted credit guarantees and policies supporting growth and economic diversification. Now, for those that are wondering, we don't call them peasant farmers. No, a lot of subsistence farming, smallholder farmers are scattered all over this country. In every community you go, we have a farmer. So the number of people employed and working in that particular sector outnumber every other sector. This same number of people are not directly connected to direct financial access to grow that business, to grow that economy, and that is what is about to change. Now let's start. We've had different government interventions at the federal level, at the state level, even international interventions and partnership. How has this been able to translate to getting the farmer plant more, invest more, harvest, and make profit?
This sounds like a good initiative when you really, it makes sense. But this is like deja vu for me. During the last administration, under the CBN leadership of Mr. Emefiele, a similar program was enacted and a lot of money was pumped into it. The only thing we saw was a pyramid of 1 million bags of rice in Abuja. I don't know if you remember vividly.
That was staged up.
In 2022, I'm going there. So they showed us 1 million bags of rice that is supposed to be the repayment of these farmers that, okay, they are paying back with product.
Okay.
And journalists dig deep into this scheme and they found out that most of the rice paddies that were displayed were from neighboring countries like Togo, Cameroon, that in fact, money that were, meant for that program didn't go into the pocket of farmers. It went into cronies of CBN directors, according to the journalist. And we did, as a people, there's no drop in price. It didn't reflect in our lives. In fact, rice became more expensive during that period. And if we look at the practicality of it in today, I don't think this is the way CBN should go about it. If CBN wants to give farmers credit at minimal interest or at no interest, is a welcome idea, is good. But I think they should funnel this money through the local governments. Because if I'm a farmer in Makurdi or in Benue, in a remote village there, how do I even know this is happening? Let's start from there. How do I even know that this is happening? So the practicality of it does not look like something that is viable, that will work based on my own experience and, how I understand Nigeria to work. But if this money is going to be, funneled through the local governments have access to the villages and all the farmers, and they can monitor, not just be able to give money to the real farmers that are actually going to the farm. they can as well monitor from when they dispense the money to when the farmers get on the farm to, all the way to when they harvest.
Okay.
That is how I see it working practically based on my knowledge of Nigeria. But if the CBN governor is sitting in Abuja and is looking for farmers to give credit to, I don't think the money will actually end up in people that actually go to the farm.
Okay. No, money ending up in the real person that needs that money to work. So we have an issue of boardroom transparency and farmland scarcity.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's look at let's come from where he's saying local government. We've had local government that have been quiet and silent for far too long. Now, like he said, farmer financial literacy is another issue.
Yeah.
How can we start seeing farmers get registered? Because the federal government has opened portals and avenues for farmers to get registered. Mm-hmm. But now, should it still be a federal government thing, a state thing, or a local government thing? How much of a localization can we start doing now? So that the federal can only take data off the local. How much of that can we start doing now?
Well, Amina said it all. It has to go back 100% to the local side of things. But if you look at it again, they have associations. Mm-hmm. They have associations. So the awareness part is not really an issue, but it should be looked into. Because if we're just going to skip the middle and the local, just comes from the federal, monies will be misplaced, data will be misplaced. So this has to be like a conjunction kind of project between the local and the federal. And in most cases, because of how important this sector is, I mean, if they're contributing over 20% to the GDP, then that's a very important sector. Then the federal government needs to understand that you can't just be too far away from the local side, because to implement, to enforce, you have to be closer. Economically, legally, you have to be closer. And we have to start looking at data structurally, because it's not just enough to say, oh, we want to give out this amount of money. You have to know the amount of the number of farmers you're looking out for. You have to understand the strength of these farmers in different geopolitical zones, how they contribute largely to the agricultural sector. So all of this will not be, you can't get all of these things by sitting down in the CBN office or in the federal office. You have to come down to the local government. Now, you said local government have been quiet for a long time. Yes, I believe so. And that's still down to, of course, the political structure and how we do our politics here in Nigeria. But economically, they are actually active, because at the end of the day, they know what's happening. They are the ones closest to the farmers. They know what's happening. There's no government scheme or system or something you want to do for the farmers that the local government will not be involved in one way or the other. Now, this now builds up to the issues in regards to transparency, issues in regards to eligibility, how efficient are they with regards to managing these resources coming from the federal government. So you have to look into these areas. Let's not give room to, because I am the local government chairman, then I need to sit on this particular revenue coming in. Who exactly are you handing over this responsibility to? Who can we hold accountable for it? So these are the questions that should come in, because a lot of money is getting misplaced, just like Amin said the last time with the pyramid, and we didn't hear anything about it anymore. But you check very well, you see that some part of Nigerian, maybe say farmers association or something, would have one way or the other benefited from whatever is put out there. But how does it benefit everyone is the question. And that's where data comes in. That's where efficiency comes in.
Okay. Now, still talking about efficiency, the CBN is looking at the commercial banks doing more. But now we're looking at if the commercial banks are going to really get into that particular sector and lend to the farmer or finance the farmer directly from their own business model, we know that the farmer cannot afford that interest that is coming from the commercial banks. So how do we bring this home ground and say this is viable and this is workable?
If the government wants the commercial bank to take that role, through government regulations and policies, they can encourage people to, banks to go into agri lending. One, they can relax taxes on their profits. Two, they can guarantee some of the loan. Three, they can, give them different incentives to do that. They can even get special fund from the CBN with low interest if it's for agric lending. There are so many ways government can do this and will be more effective, because in Nigeria, I always say we have good initiatives, we have good ideas. In fact, we implement them, but we are not able to see it to fruition because we don't have enough will to monitor and to enforce. And, that's the problem that we have. But we've never lacked good ideas, and we've never lacked, the will to actually do it. But, the good intention get missed in bureaucracy, enforcement, and monitoring.
Bureaucracy, enforcement, monitoring, good intentions. Like people say, good intentions are not enough. Okay, now let's now come down to the side of the farmer. We've had a case where, farmers tried their best and they went to the field. They did plant. Now they are harvesting. But what they are harvesting as of this particular time is not meeting what is being sold in the market compared to what they've put in the ground, the expenses they've spent, because it's also a business at the end of the day. And now farmers are now moving their produce away from the locals and taking it to the city to be able to make more profit. How can we have the government to bridge that particular gap, deficiency in the money spent planting through the period and monies are going to get off the product, selling it? Where and how can government come in?
Unfortunately, this is a very complex question.
Yeah.
I'll try to summarize as fast as I can. First of all, there is a huge decline in food prices, agri-product prices. I'll take an example of one crop, beans. A 50 bag of beans this time last year was between 150 to 180,000. Today is about 60,000 naira. And I've seen videos coming from the north, from Kaduna, saying it might even drop further to about 30, 35,000 naira. So if a farmer planted beans earlier this year and was hoping to sell it back for 180,000 naira, that is his projection. So imagine getting to the market and he's selling for 60,000 naira. And it didn't just happen because a lot of people farmed beans. It happened because there was huge pressure on the federal government to open the border for importation to crash food prices. So, we as a people, we have to stop this policy somersault. We cannot, in one hand, encouraging people to take loan to go to the farm, and on the other hand, opening up the border to bring in food that will crash the prices. And on the other side of the triangle, we cannot let people starve to death because food prices are unaffordable. So there has to be a balance. Government can start with, and we need to introduce agric insurance as well. Government needs to put seed money, encourage people to start agric insurance. Government needs to secure the farm, and we have to decide at one point that we need to shut our borders because we have enough arable land to feed the entire Africa. So, we have to find a balance with all of these things. And at the point that we shut the border, government should find a way to control prices, because Nigeria is a place where commerce and greed goes hand in hand. Nigerians, once you hand them monopoly, they are greedy with the pricing. So, but government needs to be really, really hands-on and think through the policy with people first in mind.
Think through the policy with people first in mind. Now, we have price control boards. We used to have, we had cocoa boards, we had agri-produce boards for a while. And a typical example, the Niger State governor was saying, hey, if you plant, we'll buy off you. But we are not seeing that come, those particular promises, we've not seen that in the forefront. Thanks to what is happening to farmers. Beans was an example. Maize is also there. Do we get to say, okay, government, practice what you said? The farmers have planted, they've harvested.
Well, this is where the association of farmers and that we have in numerous numbers come into play, calling for the accountability of the government to stay on their words, their promises, and the rest. We're talking about credit, the reason why we are on this topic is because we're looking at the government saying, "Oh, you can come take money now to do your business and all of that." You make a lot of promises, but like Amin said, what policies are you putting in place to ensure that they can live around these loans they take in regards to doing business? Because there's something they call nature in law. It can happen. There could be flooding, insecurity could come up, and then these people lose money. You still have to also, like, of course, demand of them to pay back these loans and all of that, regardless of the percentage you give to them. So yes, we need to work on our borders, because there are also private individuals that are in the agricultural sector that believe they have their investor partners and all of that outside Nigeria. They can bring in these goods and sell at ridiculous prices. So we have natural lands that can feed us enough, at least as a country. We have over 36 states that produce different kind of goods and products and all of that. So the government needs to understand that if you promise the people, then it's not just a word of mouth. It should be followed by action. It should be followed by support. One of the supports we're talking about, of course, is the CBN saying, "Oh, since you are a very important part of the sector, we are allowing this percentage of loans and all of that for you guys." But what are you doing, just like you asked, to ensure that the words are supportive enough for them to be able to work, to make money, and to also feed the country? Then it's just for Nigerians as well to be knowledgeable enough to hold these people accountable for, "Oh, this is what you said, and you're not doing this." Now, when that happens, how do you go about it? The legal side of things, we have to, because a lot of times we as a country, we understand certain rights, we understand certain promises, certain contracts that we enter, either orally or in writing. But when it's being broken, we don't know how to go about it. Now, this is where awareness, education comes into the agricultural system as well. Agriculture should not be for the poor, uneducated people. Education is not about just going to school. It's about learning and understanding and knowing and being exposed. So these are areas where the associations, I'm speaking to the agricultural system, come out, give the people more awareness to know how to hold the government accountable for certain things and certain promises that we put out there. So.